Today I am going to be sharing how our school went for the month of July. Welcome to this House of Walls. My name is Ashley, and on this channel I love to share all things homeschooling and books, and today is homeschooling. Alright, so let's talk about how our first month of school went. Overall, it was fantastic. Everything is kind of working great. I will say, if you have missed my last two videos, or if you don't follow me on Instagram, we have had COVID really for the past 2 weeks. But one of those weeks really knocked us off of our feet. We did not do any schooling, and we had to take that whole week off. So that's kind of pushed us back a week. I had planned 4 weeks of school for the month of July, and we've only accomplished 3, but that's fine. We are totally fine still with our schedule. In my last video, I shared how, looking at our calendar, we are flexible with a couple extra weeks still that aren't planned. So I used one of those unplanned weeks and used it as a sick week. So I have a couple things here to just kind of share and talk about. Really, it was a win. This is the first time in all of our years of homeschooling, which this is the start of our 5th year, that we have not had to switch curriculums yet. Everything kind of seems to be working. There was nothing that we started it and went, ooh, this is not going to work. Everything is kind of working so far, knock on wood. Even our schedule, maybe I'll put a picture of the schedule here. The schedule I created in the middle of the summer, I just kind of puzzled it together, but we've always had to make changes, and we haven't had to so far, which is fantastic. The only thing that I'm kind of back and forth with is that maybe we would like to do Beowulf's grammar with my 4th grader 2 days a week instead of just 1 day a week. But I'm gonna give it maybe at least another week or so and then kind of figure that out and see if there's some changes that could be made with that. And that is just to be a little bit more consistent, since that is kind of his meatiest grammar thing. We are doing editor-in-chief, which is also grammar, but also editing. So a little bit different. Word roots, again, kind of grammar, but more vocabulary. So that is the only kind of thing that I have kind of in my mind of maybe we would like to do 2 days of Beowulf's grammar instead of 1. If you have used Beowulf's grammar before and not followed their schedule that they give you for a 36-week schedule, and you've used it in a different way that has worked, let me know down in the comments, just so I can kind of have some extra input to go off of. That being said, I'm going to take a sip of coffee and let's get into some books. Alright, so let's get into books with my 4th grader. So we try to read at nighttime. It doesn't happen every single night. My 8th grader has decided that he does not want to sit in on those readings, and that is fine, so I don't make him. Sometimes he's kind of around, but he is not really in on the nighttime read alouds. So in our summer break, we had started, but didn't finish, The Lost Library by Rebecca Stead and Wendy Mass. And so we finished it, I don't know when we finished it, but it was sometime in July. And we really liked it. It was super cute. I asked my son what he would rate it between 1 and 5 stars, and he said 5 stars. His favorite was the cat. The cat's name is Mortimer, and you kind of get his point of view, which he absolutely loved. There's also ghosts and mystery involved, and he really liked that. So, super cute book. Our current nighttime read aloud is The Beatrice Prophecy by Kate DiCamillo. We still have quite a few tabs on it. Not quite halfway through. You can see that's where we are. We love Kate DiCamillo's books, and this one is just as amazing. We are really liking it. It's about Beatrice, who somehow makes it to a bunch of monks and their goat, which they think is the devil. But the goat loves Beatrice, and Beatrice loves the goat. and Beatrice doesn't remember anything about herself or other than her name. So there's some mystery and we are really enjoying it. And then 2 books that are for Build Your Library. He finished his first reader for Build Your Library, and that was A Lion to Guard Us. This is for level 3. He gave this 4.5 stars. He really liked the historical elements to this and that it takes place in the 1600s. I don't know that he's read a lot of like historical based books. So he really enjoyed this and it was a win. And then today, so this is one, like it should have been finished, but we had to take the week off. Today we are going to be finishing Out of Many Waters by Jacqueline Dunbar Green. So another historical one. He is rated at 4.9 stars, which is pretty amazing. And this is about 2 sisters, but we're really following Isabel, who are escaping the Portuguese Inquisition. And so they go on separate boats, but you're following Isabel and her journey so far, and it has been a really good book. We've enjoyed it. And then I did have him read A Lion to Guard Us a little bit faster than what Build Your Library says. When I was tabbing for Build Your Library, which you can see we tab our books, for A Lion to Guard Us, it was only, I don't know, like 6 pages each reading, and he is reading faster than that. So he finished this one faster than what was scheduled. And so he has been reading Zoe and Sassafras. This is book 4, Caterflies and Ice. He only has 2 tabs left. So today is Friday. He will finish it on Monday and then pick up the next Build Your Library book. These are an absolute win for him. I asked him, like, what do you think you'll rate it? And he said 5 stars. He loves the fantasy and scientific elements all combined together. So he loves these. Those are all the books that my 4th grader has been reading. So now let's talk about what my 8th grader has been reading. So like I said, he doesn't really sit in on our nighttime read alouds. So we are really only using the books from Build Your Library. So our literature one, which we have 2 tabs left, they're kind of pale. I don't know if you can really see them. Now, he has been more sick this week. We think that he's actually had COVID twice. So that has been an experience. So he, through this weekend, will be caught up on all of his schoolwork and things like that. So we might just sit down and do these 2 tabs today. We might do one today and one this weekend. We will see. But this is Ancestor Approved Intertribal Stories for Kids. And we've really enjoyed it. I think that we would both rate it about 4 stars. It's different stories about different people coming to a powwow and just their kind of background stories and how they get there and things that are going on in their life. But it has been a really fun and interesting read. All right, and then his reader is The Girl Who Circumnavigated Fairyland in a Ship of Her Own Making by Catherine M. Valente. Again, he has 2 tabs left, so he'll finish it either today or today and tomorrow. We'll see. He would rate this 3 stars. It just didn't quite hit it for him. I think that this one is pretty fantasy based, and he's not a huge fantasy reader, but he has been a good sport and tried it out. So there we go. So that has been the bulk of our reading. We did a lot of picture books in the mornings, some like, you know, beginning back to school kind of books, some homeschool related books, things like that. I will say, so for the month of August, we are going to be doing a storybook reading list, and this is, I have it right here. This is put out by Little World Wanderers. I do have kind of a walkthrough of how I have set it up. I will put it in a highlight bubble on my Instagram. So if you are interested in this, check out, it's a free download from Little World Wanderers on Instagram, and just has some good picture books. It is the second as I am filming this. We are not going like in order on that list. I'm letting my really fourth grader choose what he would like to read. So the first day we did, there we go. The first day we did The 100-Year Barn by Patricia McLaughlin and Kennard Pack. So she wrote Sarah Plain and Tall, which I have actually never read, but I used to watch the movie all the time when I was younger. And then Kennard Pack writes and illustrates the Goodbye Summer, Hello Autumn books. And there's 3 of them for the different changings of seasons, and those are some of our favorites. So this one was really cute. And then today he has picked The Impossible Mountain by David Soman. All right, so that's all the books that I have to talk about. I think the only thing I'm going to do now is kind of highlight some curriculum that have really been spectacular. Like I said, we haven't had to change anything, so that is a huge win. Some curriculum stands out more than others still, though. More coffee, and then let's talk. So I think based on all the books that I just talked about, this isn't going to come as a surprise, but Build Your Library has been absolutely fantastic. I am really enjoying having both of them on Build Your Library this year. There's been a couple of changes with my 8th grader just in his setup of Build Your Library, and he's added in things like science. So a little bit of a different setup for this year, but overall it has been going really well. What I have done for him for this year is I go into the PDF file, copy and paste it onto Word, change out some things if needed, and then just print it out one day at a time. And so he gets a new page every day and can just go in and see what needs to be done. And this has worked out really, really well. It's pretty similar to how I had it set up last year. He hasn't had many literature words, but in the back of this notebook, he has a page for literature words. He also has a science notebook with science words as well. This setup is really well for him because he is pretty independent unless he has a question about something or we want to stop and discuss what he read. The only thing that we definitely do together is the literature book. So this setup works great for him. Now with my 3rd grader, he and I are doing Build Your Library pretty side by side. So his setup is a little bit different. I have my spiral bound PDF and go through each day of like, okay, this is what we're going to do. So he doesn't need a whole printout sheet of what to do. So his notebook has things like, this is from Story of the World. We are using Story of the World with Build Your Library, and I bought the activity pages, and so he has a map. He has the pictures, and so he can sit here and color the pictures while I am reading. He is also doing copy work for our read aloud, and so I just print out from the PDF. I copy and paste it, print it out all together, and then cut it out, and he can glue it in and write that copy work down. So that has been going really well. He, just like his brother, he has the literature words in the back of this notebook. He has had a lot more just because his literature book, there's been more vocabulary words. So he actually has quite a few pages of literature words back here. He also has a science notebook, and I think we've done maybe like 1 or 2 science vocabulary words, and so that has been wonderful. Next win for both my kids has been math. My 4th grader, no surprise, Math with Confidence, fantastic. It picks up right where it left off. I will say he's been having to remember some of his multiplication facts, so we are working on that, but we love it. We are enjoying it. He just finished Unit 1 and we have started Unit 2, so always a win. And then my 8th grader, he has started Denison Pre-Algebra. So I've had some questions about how we are liking it, and honestly, we're just getting into it. He today is about to take the test for Chapter 1, But I will say that overall, he is really liking the lessons. My 8th grader has done a lot of different math curriculums over the years, and it has been one of his biggest struggles. Denison is made to really help get everybody, all different kinds of learners, on the same page going into high school math. And so I am very confident that this will help him with that. So we will see how test 1 goes and then getting into chapter 2. Last thing to talk about, we are using Layers of Learning Writers Workshop for our writing. Now, I had been planning that we were going to do these separate. All of our other subjects are separate, and that is just my kids don't like learning side by side. We have done it before in the past, especially when they were younger. Last year we had to really split them up and do separate things, but somehow, knock on wood again, we're doing Writers Workshop together. I teach them the lesson, we talk about things, and then they kind of go off and do the assignments on their own, but it's working so far. So I think the biggest win is our notebooks. So here's my 4th graders. He is obviously huge into Wings of Fire, so he was able to decorate the front of his notebook with all kinds of stickers and a printable picture and everything like that. And then on the back, he put things that I love. This is an activity in there. So that was a win. And then my 8th grader, this was the cover that he decided to create. And then he had his Things I Love on the back, which had just a little bit more. So you can see just in this assignment, obviously in my 4th grader, he didn't have as many, and I wanted my 8th grader to have more. So that is definitely how I'm doing it. I want my 8th grader to expand a little bit more, tell me more, things like that. We are a little bit behind in Writers Workshop. I was hoping 4 weeks of Writers Workshop for each kind of unit. I don't know that that's going to happen, and honestly, I'm not super rushed with it. This curriculum is one that can be used year after year, and so I'm not super worried about finishing the whole thing this year, because we'll just be picking it up and doing it again next year as long as we still like it. What I really just want to see is growth in my kids' writing abilities, and so that is my main goal for this year. All right, there we go. That is our first month of school. I am actively planning for the next month of school. Even with being sick, I am so proud of the progress that we have made so far. It has been a really good start to our school year, and I hope that that kind of energy continues throughout the rest of the school year. As always, thank you for watching, and if you like this or any other video that I post here, make sure to like and subscribe down below, and I will be back for more soon.